God says, my child, listen closely, because this moment is not ordinary, it is a divine interruption written into your timeline. You have felt the heaviness in your chest, the sudden shifts in your emotions, the moments where you pause without knowing why. That is your spirit responding to something bigger than your understanding. Heaven has been trying to get your attention, and now the message finally reaches you. You are not stumbling into this, your soul was led here. Everything you've been sensing lately, every restless night, every strange pull in your heart, all of it is connected to what I am about to reveal. You have been walking through days that feel disjointed, conversations that end abruptly, people pulling away without reason, and unexpected thoughts rising inside you that you try to dismiss. But nothing happening around you is random. A shift has begun. The atmosphere around your life is rearranging itself. The things that once felt normal now feel heavy, and the things that once hurt now feel distant. This is because your spirit is stepping into a new dimension while your mind is still catching up. I have seen every silent battle you fought, the pain you hid, the disappointment you swallowed, the way you tried to encourage others even when you were breaking inside. You didn't fall apart, you held on even when your heart felt fragile. And because you endured what should have crushed you, Heaven is now speaking directly to you. There is someone in your life whose emotions have been locked behind walls they pretend not to have. Someone whose heart trembles every time your name crosses their thoughts. Someone who tried to silence their feelings but failed because your connection was never ordinary, it carried weight in the spiritual realm long before the physical ever noticed. They have wrestled with thoughts they cannot fully explain and emotions they do not have the courage to confess. They feel drawn to you, yet they fear the depth of what you awaken inside them. Their heart has been calling your spirit without words, and the pull you feel is the echo of their unspoken truth brushing against your soul. Do not dismiss what you've been sensing. The strange sadness, the sudden longing, the feeling that someone is thinking of you, it is not illusion, it is alignment. Something is shifting in their life, something is awakening in yours, and heaven is preparing the path for what comes next. This message is the first unlocking, the doorway opening, the beginning of revelation. You are about to understand why the connection between you never faded, even when distance tried to bury it. And now heaven whispers the next truth you must hear. Before I reveal who has been silently aching for you, I must show you the hidden battle they've been fighting. One designed to keep their heart away from destiny. God says, my child, before the truth comes fully into your hands you must first understand the weight this person has been carrying alone. What you sensed in your spirit, the heaviness that brushed against you, the sudden sadness that wasn't yours, the emotional shifts you couldn't explain, those were echoes of their private battles. They never spoke about their struggle, never let their voice tremble in front of you, but their soul has been fighting a war that nearly broke them. They have been pulled between what their heart desires and what their wounds fear. On the outside they may appear calm, confident, composed, but inside they have been drowning quietly. They carry guilt from the past, disappointment from choices they regret, and fear of opening the door to anything real because real requires vulnerability, and vulnerability scares them more than loneliness. They have been hurt deeply, more than anyone knows, and every time their heart feels something strong, they instinctively pull away to protect themselves from the possibility of repeating that pain. This is why their behavior seems confusing, why their presence feels near one moment and distant the next. Their spirit wants to come closer to you, but their wounds keep pulling them back. They are not rejecting you, they are battling themselves. Every feeling they have for you threatens the walls they built to survive. They never expected to care for anyone again, never expected to meet someone who could stir old emotions back to life, never expected their heart to feel both terrified and hopeful at the same time. And because of this, darkness tried to use their fear against them. Thoughts of unworthiness whispered in their mind. Doubt tried to convince them that you deserved someone better. Old trauma tried to convince them that loving you would only bring pain. They pushed you away not because they didn't feel enough, but because they felt too much. The battle was spiritual long before it became emotional. Every time you felt their absence, heaven knew it wasn't rejection, it was struggle. Every time you felt them pulling back, it wasn't because their heart wasn't tied to you, it was because they feared losing themselves again. They care for you more deeply than you realize, but caring deeply felt like danger to them. They have been fighting their own shadows, fighting memories that tried to chain them, fighting fear that whispered they would mess everything up. But hear me clearly, they are getting tired of running. Their heart is softening, their walls are cracking, and what they once tried to silence is now becoming impossible to ignore. They are reaching a turning point, and you will feel the shift before you see it. But before destiny brings them toward you, heaven must expose the real reason your connection was attacked, the unseen force that tried to keep your souls from ever aligning. God says, my child, now that you understand their hidden battle, you must see the deeper truth. Your connection was never ordinary, and that is why it was attacked. There is a spiritual force that studies destiny, one that recognizes divine connections long before humans do. The enemy knew the strength this bond carried, the healing it could birth, the purpose it could unlock, and the transformation it could create in both of you. So before the relationship could align, interference was sent to delay, distract, and distort. This force whispered lies into their vulnerabilities, feeding their fear, magnifying their doubts, telling them they were not enough, convincing them you would never understand their broken pieces. It tried to sabotage their emotions, pushing them to retreat every time they felt close to you. It planted confusion in their mind and heaviness in your spirit. You felt drained after thinking about them, not because of them, but because of the energy of resistance swirling around the connection. This force targeted your communication, causing misunderstandings where there should have been clarity. It used distance to create doubt, silence to create fear, and timing to create frustration. Anything to stop what heaven ordained. It hoped you would give up. It hoped they would stay afraid. It hoped the two of you would drift so far apart that alignment would seem impossible. But what darkness didn't understand is that this connection was written into your spirit, not just your story. Every attempt to separate you only proved how powerful your purpose together truly is. They felt an unexplainable pull toward you even when their mind told them to run. You felt their energy even when they tried to hide. Something always tied you back, something always whispered, "This isn't over," something always kept your hearts aware of each other. That something was destiny. No force could fully sever it, only delay it. But now the delay is ending, because their spirit is waking up. They are becoming aware of the truth behind the resistance. The very feelings they tried to bury are resurfacing stronger. What they once thought they could walk away from now follows them in every silent moment. The attack on this connection is proof of its divine purpose. What tries hardest to break is often what heaven builds strongest. And now I am lifting the veil. I am reversing the interference. I am clearing the fog around their heart and the heaviness around yours. The force that tried to divide you lost its grip the moment they began to awaken emotionally. The enemy fought this connection because of what it will become. But now destiny is stepping back into position. But before the alignment begins, you must hear what heaven has been shaping inside you, the transformation you underwent silently, preparing you for the moment they return. God says, my child, while you were waiting, wondering, hurting, and questioning, something powerful was happening within you. You thought you were just surviving, but you were transforming. Every silent night, every unanswered message, every moment of confusion was reshaping your spirit. You learned to stand when you felt abandoned. You learned to trust when everything felt uncertain. You learned to grow even when love felt out of reach. What they didn't know, what you didn't fully see, is that the distance became your awakening. I used that space to strengthen you, refine you, sharpen your discernment, and elevate your self-worth. The old you would have chased, begged, or broken. But the new you learned to breathe, surrender, and rise. You no longer attach out of fear, you connect from strength. You no longer tolerate confusion, you value clarity. You no longer shrink yourself, you walk in the fullness of who you are becoming. You didn't lose them, you found yourself. And that version of you is the very reason this connection is shifting. The love you carry is no longer desperate, it is divine. The patience you learned is no longer weakness, it is wisdom. The silence that once hurt you now empowers you. And this transformation is exactly why destiny is circling back. Your growth was the missing piece. You had to rise into the identity I created for you before this story could align. You had to release old patterns, heal old wounds, and learn to trust me more than your emotions. You had to discover your worth so deeply that no confusion could shake it again. And you did. Your spirit matured. Your intuition sharpened. Your heart became steady. You are no longer the version of yourself who feared abandonment, you are the version who understands divine timing. You are ready for what your old self could not have handled. And they will sense it. When they re-enter your life, they will notice the strength in your voice, the calm in your energy, the certainty in your presence. They will see the glow that was born from endurance. They will realize you didn't fall apart, you evolved. And that evolution will draw them in even deeper, because your transformation is the mirror their soul has needed. This connection is not returning to who you were, it is rising to who you've become. You are no longer waiting, you are aligning. This is why the enemy attacked you. This is why the distance felt painful. This is why the waiting was necessary. You were being prepared, strengthened, elevated for the season that is approaching. But before their heart moves toward you, heaven must reveal what is awakening inside them. The moment their soul realizes you were never the one who left, you were the one they were always meant to return to. God says, my child, their awakening has already begun, even if you cannot see it yet. Something deep inside them is shifting, stirring, rising, forcing them to confront emotions they pushed away for far too long. They tried to silence the connection, distract themselves, bury the memories, numb the feelings, but nothing worked. Every time they tried to move on, something pulled them back. Every attempt to forget only made the longing stronger. Every effort to distance themselves only made your presence louder in their spirit. They don't understand why they still think of you at random moments, why their heart tightens at your name, why their soul feels empty in places that used to feel full. They are awakening to the truth they tried to outrun. They care for you more deeply than they ever allowed themselves to admit. And now their spirit is wrestling with the realization that you were not just another person in their life, you were the one who stirred something real, something rare, something sacred inside them. They have never been able to replicate the feeling you gave them. They tried to distract themselves, but nothing worked. They tried to fill the void, but nothing fit. They tried to suppress their thoughts, but the universe kept placing reminders in their path. The things they once ignored now echo loudly. The moments they dismissed now replay vividly. The emotions they suppressed now demand attention. Their awakening is emotional, spiritual, mental, and karmic. They are beginning to see how they sabotaged something pure out of fear. They are realizing that their avoidance didn't protect them, it punished them. They are understanding that you were not a threat, you were a blessing. This realization is shaking them. It is softening their defenses, melting their pride, dissolving their stubbornness. Their heart is warming toward you again, and their thoughts are shifting from fear to hope. They are beginning to sense what heaven has known all along, that you were never sent to break them, you were sent to awaken them. And awaken them you did. Now they replay conversations they once brushed aside. They think of moments where they felt safe with you in ways they haven't felt with anyone else. They feel the energy between you shifting, calling, urging them to move, to speak, to return. They wonder if you still think of them. They wonder if you still care. They wonder if it's too late. What they don't know is that destiny has already begun guiding their steps back toward you. Their heart is aligning. Their spirit is remembering. Their truth is rising. But before destiny brings your paths together again, heaven must reveal the turning point, the moment when their realization becomes action and their silence breaks into movement. God says, my child, the turning point is approaching, the moment when everything they have felt in silence becomes too loud to ignore. Their heart is reaching a place where staying quiet feels heavier than speaking up. What they once hid so carefully is now pressing against their spirit, demanding movement, demanding truth, demanding change. They are beginning to understand that running from their emotions did not protect them, it only prolonged their pain. They are realizing that silence did not shield them, it only created a deeper longing that refuses to let go. They have tried to convince themselves that they could live without you, but every attempt at pretending pushed them closer to their breaking point. Their soul is tired of pretending. Their spirit is tired of resisting. Their heart is tired of fighting what feels divinely connected. That is why you've been feeling a strange energetic pull lately, because their spirit has started reaching for you again. You feel their shift before they make a move. Their energy brushes up against yours in ways they don't even understand. Their thoughts drift toward you more frequently. Their dreams pull your image into their night. Their emotions begin to surface at random moments, surprising them with their intensity. They may not have spoken yet, but inside them the change has already begun. They are replaying every moment where they withdrew, every word they didn't say, every chance they missed. They feel the weight of their hesitation and the consequences of their distance. This is why their heart feels unsettled. They know something was left unfinished between you. They know there was more to say, more to build, more to understand. And now they are wrestling with the realization that if they stay silent any longer, they may lose the one connection that ever felt real. Their fear is fading because longing is winning. Their pride is dissolving because truth is rising. Their excuses are falling apart because destiny is calling. They are starting to think about taking action, reaching out, apologizing, confessing, or finally saying the words they've held back. They imagine what it would feel like to hear your voice again, to stand in your presence again, to feel the peace they once felt with you. They are wondering how you would respond, whether you would open your heart or close the door. This uncertainty scares them, but losing you scares them more. Heaven is preparing the moment when their realization becomes movement, when their silence breaks, when their heart speaks loudly enough to change the entire direction of this story. Destiny is aligning the timing, the opportunity, and the courage they need. And when they take the step, it will not be accidental, it will be guided. But before the reunion can unfold, heaven must reveal the final chapter. The moment destiny brings both of your journeys together and turns every delay into divine timing. God says, my child, this is the moment everything has been leading toward, the merging of two journeys that were never meant to stay apart. All the waiting, all the wondering, all the silent nights that felt heavy with unanswered questions were not signs of abandonment, they were signs of alignment. I needed both hearts to grow, both spirits to awaken, both paths to mature before destiny brought you back toward each other. What felt like delay was actually divine preparation. Neither of you were ready before, not in the way your purpose required. They needed to confront their fear. You needed to discover your strength. They needed to heal old wounds. You needed to rise into your true identity. And now heaven declares that the season of separation is nearing its end. Both of you have been walking toward each other even when you couldn't see it. Their heart has softened and yours has strengthened. Their emotions have awakened and your intuition has sharpened. Their spirit is calling out and your soul is hearing the echo. The energy between you is no longer one-sided, it is magnetizing, pulling, aligning, preparing for movement. And soon the moment will arrive when their courage meets your clarity. There will be a conversation destined to unfold. Unexpected timing, surprising ease, undeniable connection. It will feel natural because destiny always feels familiar. The words that were once stuck in their throat will flow. The emotions they hid will rise. The questions that haunted you will finally meet their answers. This reunion will not look like the past, it will be calm, honest, intentional. The confusion will fade. The walls will lower. The truth will settle between you like something that was waiting to be spoken for far too long. Everything that hurt will begin to make sense. Every tear will turn into confirmation. Every delay will reveal its purpose. You will feel a peace you haven't felt in a long time, a peace that signals alignment, not attachment. This connection is not returning for chaos but for clarity. Not for pain but for purpose. Not to repeat old patterns but to write a new story. And heaven says, do not be afraid. You are ready. They are ready. The spiritual interference has broken. The emotional awakening has risen. The divine timing has arrived. What comes next is not a coincidence or a mistake, it is destiny stepping into full manifestation. And when the moment comes, when their voice reaches yours again, when your paths cross in a way you didn't expect, you will know, it was always meant to be this way. This connection survived distance, silence, fear, and delay because it was never meant to fade. It was meant to fulfill. Heaven whispers now. Prepare your heart, for the chapter that once felt broken is about to return healed, aligned, and written with divine intention. Your story is not ending.